A millionaire finds a girl in an alley and is horrified to discover that she has been abandoned with a baby in her arms. The torrential rain lashed the dimly lit streets of New York on that fateful night, the city's bustling energy muted by the relentless downpour. Nicholas Ashford, a millionaire businessman renowned for his philanthropy, decided to walk home after a charity event at the elegant Plaza Hotel. The icy drops soaked through his tailored Italian suit, but he barely noticed, his mind preoccupied with the evening's discussions on addressing child poverty in the city. As he navigated the slick sidewalks, Nicholas couldn't help but reflect on his own tumultuous childhood. Born into a low-income family in the Bronx, he had experienced firsthand the struggles of growing up in an underprivileged neighborhood. His father, a factory worker, had worked tirelessly to provide for the family, while his mother took on odd jobs to make ends meet. Despite their efforts, there were times when food was scarce, and the threat of eviction loomed over their heads. Nicholas vividly remembered the shame he felt as a child, wearing hand-me-down clothes and relying on free school lunches. The other kids would tease him mercilessly, calling him rags and mocking his worn-out shoes. He had learned to keep his head down and focus on his studies, knowing that education was his only ticket out of poverty. Through sheer determination and hard work, Nicholas had managed to secure a scholarship to a prestigious university, where he excelled in his business studies. He had vowed to himself that he would never let another child endure the hardships he had faced. And as his wealth grew, so did his commitment to philanthropy. Lost in thought, Nicholas almost missed the small movement in a narrow alleyway as he turned onto a particularly poorly illuminated street. Squinting through the downpour, he realized it was a young girl, huddled against the brick wall, clutching a bundle close to her chest. Despite the rain plastering her dark hair to her face, he could see the exhaustion and desperation etched into her delicate features. Cautiously, Nicholas approached the girl, who couldn't have been more than 12 years old. "Hey there," he called out softly, trying not to startle her. "Are you all right? What are you doing out here in this weather?" The girl's eyes widened with fear as she pressed herself further into the wall, her arms tightening around the bundle. As Nicholas drew closer, he realized that she was holding a baby, wrapped in a thin, drenched blanket. The infant's tiny face scrunched up, letting out a weak cry that pierced through the sound of the falling rain. "It's okay," Nicholas reassured, holding up his hands in a non-threatening gesture. "I'm not going to hurt you, I just want to help." He crouched down to the girl's level, ignoring the puddle seeping into his expensive leather shoes. The girl eyed him warily, her gaze darting between his face and the empty street behind him, as if calculating her chances of escape. "What's your name?" Nicholas asked gently, trying to establish a connection. After a long moment, the girl replied in a voice barely above a whisper, "Mia." "Mia, I'm Nicholas. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I can see that you and your baby are in trouble. Please let me help you get somewhere safe and warm." Mia hesitated, the conflicting emotions evident on her face. She glanced down at the baby, who had started to shiver violently, and something in her expression broke. With a small nod, she accepted Nicholas's outstretched hand, allowing him to guide her out of the alleyway and into the unknown. As they walked through the rain-soaked streets, Nicholas couldn't help but notice the threadbare state of Mia's clothing. Her thin jacket was no match for the biting cold, and her shoes were worn down to the soles. The baby, too, was inadequately dressed for the harsh weather, the blanket providing little protection against the elements. Nicholas felt a surge of protectiveness wash over him as he led Mia and the baby to his car, which was parked a few blocks away. He couldn't fathom how someone so young could be left to fend for herself and an infant on the unforgiving streets of New York. The thought of the hardships they must have endured made his heart ache. As they reached his car, a sleek black Mercedes, Nicholas opened the rear door and helped Mia inside, ensuring that she and the baby were comfortably seated. He turned up the heat, watching as Mia's tense shoulders slowly relaxed in the warmth of the vehicle. During the drive to his penthouse apartment, Nicholas attempted to engage Mia in conversation, hoping to learn more about her situation. However, the girl remained mostly silent, only offering brief, hesitant responses to his gentle inquiries. It was clear that trust would not come easily, given the life she had led thus far. Upon arriving at his building, Nicholas guided Mia and the baby into the elevator, his mind already racing with the necessary steps to ensure their well-being. He knew that he would need to provide them with proper clothing, food, and medical attention, as well as a safe place to stay while he figured out a more permanent solution. As they stepped into his spacious penthouse, Mia's eyes widened in awe, taking in the expansive living room with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city skyline. The plush furnishings and modern decor were a stark contrast to the harsh realities she had known on the streets. Nicholas led Mia to the guest bedroom, where he quickly prepared the bed with fresh linens and a warm comforter. He showed her the attached bathroom, stocked with fluffy towels and an array of toiletries, encouraging her to take a hot shower and change into the clean clothes he provided. While Mia tended to herself and the baby, Nicholas busied himself in the kitchen preparing a simple but nourishing meal of chicken soup and grilled cheese sandwiches. As the comforting aroma filled the apartment, he couldn't help but reflect on the unexpected turn his evening had taken. When Mia emerged from the guest room dressed in the soft, clean clothes and cradling the baby, who was now wrapped in a warm blanket, Nicholas felt a lump form in his throat. The sight of them, safe and cared for, stirred something deep within him, a longing to protect and nurture that he had never experienced before. As they sat down to eat, Nicholas watched Mia carefully feed the baby, her movements gentle and loving despite her own apparent hunger. The bond between the two was evident, and Nicholas marveled at the strength and resilience of this young girl who had taken on the role of a mother in the most challenging of circumstances. Over the course of the meal, Mia began to open up, sharing snippets of her story. She revealed that her mother, a drug addict, had abandoned them months ago, leaving Mia to care for her infant sister Lily on her own. With no other family to turn to and no means of support, Mia had been forced to navigate the unforgiving streets, scavenging for food and shelter while trying to keep Lily safe. As Nicholas listened to Mia's heartbreaking tale, he felt a deep sense of connection to her struggles, remembering his own difficult childhood. He knew that he could not simply stand by and watch these two young lives be consumed by the cycle of poverty and neglect. At that moment, as the rain continued to beat against the windows and the city lights twinkled in the distance, Nicholas made a silent vow to himself and to Mia and Lily. He would do everything in his power to provide them with the love, stability, and opportunities they so desperately needed. This chance encounter had brought them into his life for a reason, and he was determined to be the catalyst for change in their world. Little did Nicholas know, as he tucked Mia and Lily into bed that night, promising them a brighter tomorrow, that this was just the beginning of a journey that would test his strength, challenge his beliefs, and ultimately redefine the meaning of family for all of them. The road ahead would be filled with obstacles and sacrifices, but in that moment, all that mattered was the glimmer of hope he saw in Mia's eyes, a hope for a future that had once seemed impossible. As the sun peeked through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Nicholas Ashford's penthouse, he found himself awake, his mind still processing the unexpected events of the previous night. The soft sounds of the city stirring below seemed a world away from the life-altering decision he had made just hours ago. Nicholas made his way to the guest room, quietly opening the door to check on Mia and Lily. The sight that greeted him tugged at his heartstrings. Mia lay curled around her baby sister, her arm draped protectively over the infant's tiny form. Even in sleep, the weight of their hardships was evident in the furrow of Mia's brow and the way she held Lily close, as if afraid she might disappear. As he watched the gentle rise and fall of their chests, Nicholas felt a surge of determination. He knew that the road ahead would be challenging, filled with legal battles and emotional upheavals, but he was resolute in his decision to provide these two innocent lives with the love and stability they deserved. Quietly closing the door, Nicholas made his way to the kitchen, his mind already racing with the tasks that lay ahead. He knew that he needed to contact his lawyer to begin the process of securing temporary custody of Mia and Lily. There would be background checks, home visits, and a myriad of paperwork to navigate, but he was prepared to face it all. As he brewed a pot of coffee, Nicholas couldn't help but reflect on his own childhood. Growing up in the Bronx, he had witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of poverty and neglect on young lives. He remembered the hopelessness that had once threatened to consume him, the feeling that he was trapped in a cycle from which there was no escape. But Nicholas had been lucky. A chance encounter with a teacher who recognized his potential had set him on a path to success. She had encouraged him to apply for scholarships, to dream beyond the confines of his circumstances. Without her guidance and support, he knew that he might have become just another statistic, another child lost to the unforgiving streets. Now, as he looked back on his journey, Nicholas realized that he had the power to be that same guiding light for Mia and Lily. He could offer them the opportunities that had been denied to so many, the chance to break free from the cycle of poverty and build a better future. Lost in thought, Nicholas almost didn't hear the soft footsteps padding into the kitchen. He turned to see Mia standing in the doorway, Lily cradled in her arms. The wariness in her eyes from the previous night had given way to a tentative curiosity, mixed with a glimmer of hope. "Good morning, Mia," Nicholas greeted her warmly, offering a gentle smile. "I hope you both slept well. I'm making breakfast. Would you like some pancakes?" Mia hesitated for a moment before nodding, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. As Nicholas busied himself with preparing the batter, Mia settled Lily into the high chair he had ordered online in the early hours of the morning. Over the course of breakfast, Nicholas and Mia began to navigate the tentative beginnings of their new relationship. Nicholas asked gentle questions about her likes and dislikes, her dreams for the future, while Mia slowly opened up, sharing small pieces of her story. As the morning progressed, Nicholas couldn't help but notice the way Mia's shoulders gradually relaxed, the guarded look in her eyes softening as she allowed herself to enjoy the simple pleasures of a warm meal and a safe space. It was a small victory, but one that filled Nicholas with a sense of purpose. However, the road ahead was fraught with challenges. As Nicholas began to make the necessary arrangements for Mia and Lily's care, he found himself confronted with the harsh realities of the foster care system. The bureaucracy seemed endless, the requirements daunting, and there were times when he felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task he had undertaken. But every time he looked into Mia's eyes, every time he held Lily's tiny hand, Nicholas knew that he couldn't give up. These two precious lives had been entrusted to him, and he was determined to fight for their future, no matter the cost. As the days turned into weeks, Nicholas and Mia began to settle into a new routine. He enrolled her in a nearby school, ensuring that she had access to the best education possible. Mia thrived in the nurturing environment, her natural intelligence and curiosity blossoming as she was given the tools to succeed. Despite the progress they had made, Nicholas knew that Mia's wounds ran deep. There were nights when he would find her sitting in the dark, silent tears streaming down her face as she grappled with the trauma of her past. In those moments, Nicholas would simply sit beside her, offering a comforting presence and a listening ear. Slowly but surely, the walls that Mia had built around her heart began to crumble. She started to trust Nicholas, to see him as the father figure she had always longed for. Together they began to build a new family, one forged in the fires of adversity and strengthened by the power of love. As Nicholas watched Mia and Lily thrive under his care, he knew that his life had been irrevocably changed. He had once believed that success was measured in wealth and power, but now he understood that true fulfillment lay in the simple joys of family and the knowledge that he had made a difference in the lives of those he loved. But even as they celebrated the small victories and cherished the moments of happiness, Nicholas knew that their journey was far from over. The specter of Mia and Lily's past still loomed large, and there were forces at work that threatened to tear their fragile new family apart. As he looked to the future, Nicholas steeled himself for the battles to come. He knew that he would need to summon every ounce of strength and determination to protect the precious lives that had been entrusted to his care. But with Mia and Lily by his side, he knew that he could face anything. And so, as the sun set over the city that had brought them together, Nicholas and Mia stood hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had found each other in the darkest of moments, and together, they would build a future filled with hope, love, and the unshakable bond of family. As the weeks turned into months, Nicholas and Mia found themselves settling into a new normal. The once pristine penthouse with its sleek modern decor and minimalist aesthetic now bore the telltale signs of a home well lived in. Lily's playpen occupied a corner of the living room, her toys strewn across the plush carpet, while Mia's backpack and school projects found their place on the kitchen table, a testament to her growing confidence in her academic abilities. But even as they carved out a life together, Nicholas couldn't shake the feeling that their newfound happiness was built on a fragile foundation. The legal battles for custody of Mia and Lily loomed large, a constant reminder of the precarious nature of their situation. Late one evening, as Nicholas pored over the latest stack of legal documents, he heard a soft knock at his study door. Looking up, he saw Mia standing in the doorway, her face etched with worry. "Nicholas, can I talk to you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Of course, Mia," he replied, setting aside the papers and gesturing for her to come in. "What's on your mind?" Mia hesitated for a moment, twisting her hands in her lap as she gathered her thoughts. "I heard you talking to your lawyer on the phone earlier," she began, her eyes fixed on the floor. "Is everything okay? Are they going to take us away from you?" Nicholas felt his heart clench at the fear in Mia's voice. He knew that the legal proceedings were taking a toll on her, the constant uncertainty weighing heavily on her young shoulders. "Oh, Mia," he said softly, moving to sit beside her on the couch. "I promise you, I will do everything in my power to make sure that you and Lily stay with me. You're a part of my family now, and I won't let anyone take that away from us." Mia looked up at him then, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "But what if they don't let you keep us?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "What if they send us back to the streets or to a foster home where they don't care about us?" Nicholas reached out and pulled Mia into a tight embrace, feeling her small frame shake with silent sobs. "That won't happen," he assured her, his voice firm with conviction. "I won't let it. You and Lily are my priority now, and I will fight for you with everything I have." As he held Mia close, Nicholas couldn't help but marvel at the depth of his love for these two precious girls. In the short time they had been a part of his life, they had managed to fill a void he hadn't even known existed, bringing a sense of purpose and fulfillment that he had never experienced before. Over the next few weeks, Nicholas threw himself into the legal battle with renewed determination. He hired the best lawyers, pored over every document, and attended every court hearing, all the while making sure that Mia and Lily felt secure and loved. But even as he fought for their future, Nicholas knew that the true battle lay in healing the wounds of their past. Mia, for all her strength and resilience, still struggled with the trauma of her early years. There were nights when Nicholas would find her huddled in the corner of her room, lost in the grip of a flashback, her eyes haunted by memories of hunger, fear, and abandonment. In those moments, Nicholas would sit with her, holding her hand and speaking softly until the terror subsided. He taught her breathing exercises and visualization techniques, tools to help her cope with the overwhelming emotions that threatened to consume her. Slowly but surely, Mia began to open up to him, sharing stories of her past that broke his heart and tested his resolve. She spoke of the nights spent huddled in doorways, the constant gnawing of hunger in her belly, and the fear of being discovered by the authorities and separated from Lily. Through it all, Nicholas listened without judgment, offering comfort and support in equal measure. He knew that healing was a long and difficult process, but he was determined to be there for Mia every step of the way. As the months passed, Nicholas began to see a change in Mia. She smiled more often, her laughter ringing out through the penthouse like a joyous melody. She excelled in her studies, her quick mind and insatiable curiosity earning her the praise of her teachers and the admiration of her classmates. But perhaps the most significant change was in the way she interacted with Lily. Where once there had been a desperate, almost fearful protectiveness, there was now a gentle nurturing, a love that was no longer born of necessity, but of pure affection. Nicholas watched in awe as Mia blossomed before his eyes, her inner strength and beauty shining through with each passing day. He knew that she still had a long road ahead of her, but he had no doubt that she would overcome every obstacle in her path. And so, as the legal battles raged on and the challenges of their new life together continued to mount, Nicholas and Mia clung to each other, drawing strength from the unbreakable bond they had forged in the crucible of adversity. Together, they knew that they could weather any storm, face any challenge, and emerge stronger and more united than ever before. For in each other, they had found the family they had always longed for, and the love that would sustain them through all the trials and triumphs to come. As the sun rose over the bustling streets of New York, casting a golden glow across the city's iconic skyline, Nicholas Ashford found himself awake, his mind already racing with the day's impending challenges. Today marked a crucial turning point in the legal battle for custody of Mia and Lily, a court hearing that would determine the course of their future together. Nicholas made his way to the kitchen, his steps heavy with the weight of responsibility. As he brewed a pot of coffee, he couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had brought him to this moment. In the months since that fateful rainy night, his life had been transformed in ways he had never imagined possible. Mia and Lily had become the center of his world, the beating heart of a family he had never known he needed. Through the sleepless nights and the endless legal battles, through the tears and the laughter, they had forged an unbreakable bond, a love that transcended blood and circumstance. As he sipped his coffee, Nicholas heard the soft patter of footsteps approaching. He looked up to see Mia, her face etched with worry, her eyes shadowed by the weight of the impending court hearing. "Morning, Nicholas," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Today's the big day, huh?" Nicholas set down his mug and crossed the room to wrap Mia in a tight embrace. "It is," he said, his voice steady with conviction. "But no matter what happens today, I want you to know that I will never stop fighting for you and Lily. You are my family, and nothing will ever change that." Mia clung to him, her small frame shaking with silent sobs. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice muffled against his chest. "I don't want to lose you, to lose this life we've built together." Nicholas pulled back, cupping Mia's face in his hands. "You won't," he promised, his eyes locked on hers. "I will do everything in my power to make sure that you and Lily stay with me. And even if the worst happens, even if they try to take you away, I will never give up on you. I will fight for you until my last breath." Mia nodded, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I know you will," she said, her voice filled with a quiet strength that belied her years. "You've already given us so much, more than I ever thought possible. No matter what happens today, I will always be grateful for everything you've done for us." As they made their way to the courthouse, Nicholas couldn't shake the feeling of dread that settled in the pit of his stomach. He knew that the odds were stacked against them, that the legal system was not always kind to those who sought to forge families outside the bounds of blood and biology. But as he looked at Mia, her head held high, her steps filled with a quiet determination, he knew that he would never regret the choices that had brought them to this moment. For in opening his heart to these two precious girls, he had discovered a love more profound than anything he had ever known. The courthouse was a cacophony of noise and activity, the halls filled with lawyers, litigants, and the endless shuffle of paperwork. As Nicholas and Mia made their way to the courtroom, they were met by their legal team, a group of seasoned attorneys who had taken on their case with a passion and dedication that left Nicholas in awe. Inside the courtroom, the air was thick with tension, the weight of the impending decision hanging heavy in the air. As the judge took her seat, Nicholas felt Mia's hand slip into his, her fingers trembling with a mixture of fear and hope. The hearing was a blur of legal jargon and emotional testimony, each side presenting their case with a fervor and intensity that left Nicholas's head spinning. He watched as Mia took the stand, her voice steady and clear as she recounted the horrors of her past and the love and stability she had found with Nicholas. As the hours ticked by, Nicholas felt his hope begin to waver, the weight of the system bearing down on them with a crushing force. But just when he thought all was lost, just when he thought he had reached the end of his strength, the judge's gavel fell with a resounding crack. In the matter of the custody of Mia and Lily, the judge began, her voice ringing out through the courtroom. It is the decision of this court that sole legal and physical custody be granted to Nicholas Ashford, effective immediately. For a moment, the world seemed to stand still, the words hanging in the air like a dream too good to be true. And then, as the reality of the decision sank in, Nicholas felt a wave of emotion crash over him, a joy and relief so profound that it left him breathless. Beside him, Mia let out a sob, her small frame shaking with the force of her happiness. Nicholas pulled her into his arms, holding her tight as the tears flowed freely down both their faces. "We did it," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "We won, Mia. You and Lily are staying with me forever." Mia looked up at him, her eyes shining with a love and gratitude that took his breath away. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with a quiet reverence. "Thank you for fighting for us, for loving us, for giving us a family." As they made their way out of the courthouse, hand in hand, Nicholas knew that their journey was far from over. There would be challenges and obstacles ahead, moments of doubt and fear and uncertainty. But as he looked at Mia, her face filled with a joy and peace that he had never seen before, he knew that they would face those challenges together, united by a love that had been forged in the fires of adversity and tempered by the strength of their bond. And so, with hearts full of hope and eyes fixed on the future, Nicholas and Mia stepped out into the sunlight, ready to embrace the new life that lay ahead. A life filled with love, laughter, and the unbreakable ties of family. In the days following the momentous court decision, Nicholas and Mia found themselves settling into a new rhythm, a sense of permanence and stability that had once seemed like an impossible dream. With the legal battle behind them, they could finally focus on building the life they had always longed for, a life filled with love, laughter, and the simple joys of family. For Mia, the change was both exhilarating and overwhelming. After years of uncertainty and fear, of never knowing where her next meal would come from, or where she and Lily would lay their heads at night, the promise of a forever home was almost too much to comprehend. There were moments when she would find herself staring at Nicholas, her eyes wide with wonder and disbelief, as if waiting for the illusion to shatter and the cold, hard reality of the streets to come crashing back in. But every time Nicholas would meet her gaze with a smile, his eyes filled with a love and reassurance that never wavered. "It's real, Mia," he would say, his voice soft and steady. "This is your home now, and nothing will ever change that." Slowly but surely, Mia began to let herself believe, to embrace the love and security that Nicholas offered so freely. She threw herself into her studies, determined to make the most of the opportunities that had been denied to her for so long. She joined the school choir, discovering a passion for music that filled her heart with joy and her days with purpose. But perhaps the most profound change was in her relationship with Lily. No longer burdened by the constant fear and responsibility of keeping her sister alive, Mia was free to simply be a child again, to revel in the simple pleasures of playtime and imagination. Nicholas watched in awe as the two girls blossomed before his eyes, their laughter ringing out through the penthouse like the sweetest of melodies. He marveled at the resilience of the human spirit, at the way love and stability could heal even the deepest of wounds. But even as they settled into their new life, Nicholas knew that the scars of the past could never be fully erased. There were nights when he would wake to the sound of Mia's screams, her small frame thrashing in the throes of a nightmare. He would rush to her side, holding her close and whispering words of comfort until the terror subsided and she drifted back to sleep in his arms. On those nights, Nicholas would lie awake, his heart aching with the knowledge of all that Mia had endured. He wished that he could take away her pain, that he could erase the memories of hunger and fear and loneliness that haunted her dreams. But he knew that healing was a journey, a path that Mia would have to walk in her own time and in her own way. All he could do was be there for her, to offer his love and support, and to create a safe haven where she could find peace and solace. As the weeks turned into months, Nicholas and Mia found themselves settling into a new kind of normalcy, a life filled with the ordinary joys and challenges of family. There were soccer games and school plays, bedtime stories and Saturday morning pancakes. There were arguments and reconciliations, laughter and tears, all the messy, beautiful chaos of life lived fully and without fear. And through it all, Nicholas and Mia grew closer, their bond deepening with each passing day. Mia began to open up to him in ways she never had before, sharing her hopes and dreams, her fears and insecurities. Nicholas listened with an open heart, offering guidance and encouragement, and marveling at the strength and wisdom of this remarkable young girl. For Nicholas, the journey of fatherhood was both exhilarating and humbling. He had never imagined that he could love another person so deeply, so fiercely. He had never known the joy of watching a child grow and learn and discover the world anew. But even as he reveled in the wonder of it all, Nicholas couldn't shake the feeling that there was something missing, a piece of the puzzle that had yet to fall into place. It wasn't until one quiet evening as he sat with Mia and Lily on the couch, reading a bedtime story, that the realization hit him with a force that left him breathless. This was his family, the one he had been searching for all his life. This was the love and belonging he had always yearned for, the sense of purpose and meaning that had eluded him for so long. And as he looked at Mia and Lily, their faces softly illuminated by the warm glow of the bedside lamp, Nicholas knew that he would do anything to protect this precious gift, to nurture and cherish it for all the days of his life. For in the end, he knew, this was what mattered most. Not the trappings of success or the accolades of the world, but the simple, profound joy of loving and being loved in return. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and a soul at peace, Nicholas Ashford held his daughters close, marveling at the miracle of second chances and the transformative power of love. As the golden leaves of autumn gave way to the icy chill of winter, Nicholas and Mia found themselves settling into a new kind of routine, a life filled with the warmth and comfort of family. The penthouse, once a stark and impersonal space, now hummed with the energy of laughter and love, the walls adorned with the colorful artwork of Mia's budding creativity. But even as they reveled in the joys of their new life together, Nicholas couldn't shake the feeling that there was a storm brewing on the horizon, a shadow of the past that threatened to cast a pall over their hard-won happiness. It began with a phone call, a voice from a life he had long since left behind. His ex-girlfriend, the one who had so vehemently opposed his decision to take in Mia and Lily, had resurfaced, demanding to know why he had thrown away their future for a pair of street urchins. Nicholas listened in stunned silence as she ranted and raved, her words dripping with venom and disdain. He had known that she would never understand his choice, that she could never see beyond the surface of things to the love and beauty that lay beneath. But even as he fought to keep his composure, to respond with the grace and dignity that had become his hallmark, Nicholas couldn't help but feel a flicker of doubt, a nagging sense that perhaps he had bitten off more than he could chew. It wasn't until later that evening, as he sat with Mia at the kitchen table, helping her with her homework, that the true impact of the phone call became clear. Mia, usually so focused and engaged, seemed distracted and withdrawn, her eyes clouded with a sadness that Nicholas had never seen before. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" he asked gently, setting down his pen and reaching out to take her hand. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right?" Mia looked up at him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I heard you on the phone earlier," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I heard what she said about me and Lily, about how we ruined your life." Nicholas felt his heart clench in his chest, a wave of anger and protectiveness washing over him. He took a deep breath, fighting to keep his voice steady and calm. "Mia, listen to me," he said, his eyes locked on hers. "You and Lily are the best thing that has ever happened to me. You didn't ruin my life. You gave it meaning and purpose. You filled it with love and joy and laughter. And I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world." Mia nodded, a single tear slipping down her cheek. "But what if she's right?" she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "What if we're just a burden to you, a mistake that you'll regret someday?" Nicholas shook his head, his heart breaking at the pain and uncertainty in Mia's eyes. He reached out and pulled her into his arms, holding her close as she cried, her small frame shaking with the force of her emotions. "You are not a mistake, Mia," he said fiercely, his voice choked with emotion. "You are a gift, a precious treasure that I will cherish forever. And no matter what anyone else says or thinks, I will always be here for you, always love you, always fight for you." As he held her close, whispering words of comfort and reassurance, Nicholas knew that this was just the beginning, that there would be many more challenges and obstacles to come. But he also knew that he would face them all with a fierce and unwavering love, a love that had been forged in the crucible of adversity and tempered by the strength of their bond. Over the next few weeks, Nicholas and Mia worked to navigate the complexities of their new reality, to find a way forward in the face of the doubts and fears that threatened to tear them apart. They talked openly and honestly, sharing their hopes and dreams, their fears and insecurities, and slowly but surely, they began to heal, to build a foundation of trust and understanding that would carry them through the storms to come. And as the winter gave way to the promise of spring, as the city began to thaw and bloom with new life, Nicholas and Mia found themselves growing stronger and more united with each passing day. They laughed and played and dreamed together, reveling in the simple joys of family and the unbreakable bond that had brought them together. For Nicholas, the journey of fatherhood had become a sacred calling, a mission that he embraced with every fiber of his being. He knew that there would be challenges and setbacks, moments of doubt and fear and uncertainty. But he also knew that he would never give up, never stop fighting for the love and happiness of his precious girls. And so, with hearts full of hope and eyes fixed on the future, Nicholas and Mia stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead, secure in the knowledge that they had each other, and that nothing could ever tear them apart. As the first tender shoots of spring began to emerge from the frozen ground, Nicholas and Mia found themselves embarking on a new chapter of their lives, a journey of healing and self-discovery that would test the strength of their bond and the depth of their love. For Mia, the process of opening up about her past was a daunting one, a path fraught with pain and fear and uncertainty. She had spent so long hiding her scars, burying her trauma beneath a facade of strength and resilience, that the thought of letting someone else see her vulnerabilities was almost too much to bear. But Nicholas was patient and understanding, his love a steadfast anchor in the storm of her emotions. He listened without judgment, offering comfort and support as she haltingly shared her story, the memories of hunger and cold and loneliness that had shaped her young life. There were moments when the pain was almost too much to bear, when the weight of her past threatened to crush her beneath its suffocating burden. But Nicholas was always there, his arms a safe haven, his words a soothing balm to her battered soul. Slowly but surely, Mia began to heal, to let go of the shame and self-blame that had held her captive for so long. She learned to see herself through Nicholas's eyes, to recognize the strength and beauty that lay beneath the scars of her past. And as she grew stronger and more confident, Mia began to dream of a future that had once seemed impossible, a life filled with love and laughter and the promise of better days to come. For Nicholas, the journey of fatherhood was a humbling one, a daily reminder of the awesome responsibility that lay in his hands. He had always prided himself on his strength and independence, on his ability to navigate the challenges of life with a cool head and a steady hand. But now, as he watched Mia and Lily blossom before his eyes, he realized that true strength lay not in self-reliance, but in the willingness to open one's heart to others, to lean on the love and support of those who cared for you. He marveled at the resilience of his girls, at the way they had survived the unimaginable and emerged with their spirits unbroken. And he vowed to be the father they deserved, to love them fiercely and unconditionally, to give them the safety and security that had been denied to them for so long. As the weeks turned into months, Nicholas and Mia found themselves growing closer and more united with each passing day. They faced the challenges of their new life together with grace and determination, learning to communicate openly and honestly, to support each other through the ups and downs of their journey. And through it all, they clung to the love that had brought them together, the unbreakable bond that had been forged in the fires of adversity and tempered by the strength of their commitment to each other. But even as they reveled in the joys of their new life together, Nicholas and Mia knew that the shadows of the past were never far behind, that the wounds of trauma and abuse were not so easily healed. It was on a warm spring evening, as they sat together on the balcony of their penthouse, watching the sun sink behind the glittering skyline of the city, that the truth of this reality came crashing down upon them. Mia, her voice trembling with emotion, revealed a secret that she had kept hidden for so long, a memory that had haunted her every waking moment since the day she had fled her mother's house with Lily in her arms. Her mother, in a fit of drug-fueled rage, had threatened to sell Lily to the highest bidder, to use the money to feed her insatiable addiction. And Mia, barely more than a child herself, had made a decision that would change the course of their lives forever. She had taken Lily and run, disappearing into the maze of streets and alleys that had become their home, their refuge from the monsters that lurked in the shadows of their past. As Nicholas listened to her story, his heart breaking with every word, he realized the true depth of the love and sacrifice that had brought them together, the incredible courage and strength that lay beneath Mia's gentle exterior. And in that moment, he made a vow, a promise that he would spend the rest of his life keeping. He would be the father that Mia and Lily had always deserved, the protector and provider that would keep them safe from harm, the love that would guide them through the storms of life. Together, they would build a future filled with hope and possibility, a life that would be a testament to the power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. And as the stars began to emerge in the velvet sky above, Nicholas and Mia held each other close, their hearts beating as one, their love a beacon of light in the darkness of the world. As the warm, golden days of summer settled over the city, Nicholas and Mia found themselves swept up in a whirlwind of activity, their lives a blur of laughter and love and the endless possibilities of their new life together. For Mia, the long, lazy days of summer were a revelation, a chance to experience the simple joys of childhood that had been denied to her for so long. She reveled in the freedom of long walks in the park, of ice cream cones and carnival rides and the sweet, sticky tang of cotton candy on her tongue. And through it all, Nicholas was by her side, his love a constant presence, his laughter a balm to the lingering scars of her past. He taught her to swim in the cool, clear waters of the lake, to ride a bike down the winding paths of Central Park, to lose herself in the magic of a good book on a lazy afternoon. But even as they reveled in the joys of their new life together, Nicholas and Mia knew that the shadows of the past were never far behind, that the wounds of trauma and abuse were not so easily healed. It was on a stormy night in late July, as the rain lashed against the windows of their penthouse, that the ghosts of Mia's past came calling, their voices a haunting whisper in the darkness of her dreams. She woke with a start, her heart pounding, her body drenched in a cold sweat. For a moment, she was back in the cramped, squalid apartment of her childhood, the stench of alcohol and desperation thick in the air, the sound of her mother's slurred, angry voice ringing in her ears. But then, as the fog of sleep began to lift, she felt the warmth of Nicholas's arms around her, the steady beat of his heart against her cheek. And she knew that she was safe, that the monsters of her past could no longer touch her, that she was loved and cherished and protected. As she clung to him in the darkness, her tears soaking the front of his shirt, Nicholas held her close, his voice a soothing murmur in her ear. He listened as she poured out her heart, as she spoke of the fear and the pain and the loneliness that had been her constant companions for so long. And in that moment, he realized the true depth of the love that he felt for her, the fierce, unshakable devotion that would carry them through the storms of life. Over the next few weeks, Nicholas and Mia worked to confront the ghosts of their pasts, to build a foundation of love and trust that would weather the challenges of the future. They spoke openly and honestly about their fears and their hopes, their dreams and their doubts. And slowly but surely, they began to heal, to let go of the pain and the anger that had held them captive for so long. They learned to lean on each other, to find strength in their love and in the unbreakable bond that had brought them together. For Nicholas, the journey of fatherhood was a humbling one, a daily reminder of the incredible responsibility that lay in his hands. He had always prided himself on his strength and his independence, on his ability to navigate the challenges of life with a cool head and a steady hand. But now, as he watched Mia and Lily blossom before his eyes, he realized that true strength lay not in self-reliance, but in the willingness to open one's heart to others, to lean on the love and support of those who cared for you. He marveled at the resilience of his girls, at the way they had survived the unimaginable and emerged with their spirits unbroken. And he vowed to be the father they deserved, to love them fiercely and unconditionally, to give them the safety and security that had been denied to them for so long. As the summer began to fade into the cool, crisp days of autumn, Nicholas and Mia found themselves looking to the future with a new sense of hope and possibility. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be challenges and setbacks and moments of doubt and fear. But they also knew that they had each other, that their love was a fortress that could weather any storm. And so, hand in hand, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead, secure in the knowledge that they were stronger together than they could ever be apart. For Mia, the journey of healing was far from over, the scars of her past still raw and tender to the touch. But with each passing day, she found herself growing stronger and more confident, her heart filled with a love and a hope that she had never known before. And as she looked to the future, she knew that she was ready to face whatever lay ahead, to build a life of purpose and meaning, to use her own struggles and triumphs to make a difference in the world. For she had learned the most precious lesson of all, that even in the darkest of times, there is always a light to guide the way, a love that can conquer all. And with Nicholas by her side, she knew that she could face anything, that their love was a beacon of hope in a world that so often seemed lost in shadow. As the leaves began to turn and the air grew crisp with the promise of autumn, Nicholas and Mia found themselves settling into a new rhythm of life, a sense of normalcy and stability that had once seemed like an impossible dream. For Mia, the start of a new school year brought with it a host of new challenges and opportunities, a chance to spread her wings and discover her passions in a way that she had never been able to before. She threw herself into her studies with a fierce determination, her quick mind and insatiable curiosity earning her the praise and admiration of her teachers and peers alike. But even as she excelled academically, Mia knew that her true calling lay beyond the walls of the classroom, in the world of art and music and dance that had always been her solace and her escape. With Nicholas's encouragement and support, she began to explore these passions in earnest, taking classes and workshops and immersing herself in the vibrant cultural scene of the city. As she watched Mia blossom before his eyes, Nicholas couldn't help but marvel at the incredible young woman she was becoming, the strength and resilience and creativity that shone through in everything she did. He knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be challenges and setbacks and moments of doubt and fear. But he also knew that Mia had the heart of a warrior, a spirit that could not be broken by the trials of life. And he vowed to be there for her every step of the way, to love and support her unconditionally, to help her build a future filled with joy and purpose and meaning. As the weeks turned into months, Nicholas and Mia found themselves growing closer and more connected with each passing day, their bond deepening in ways that neither of them had ever thought possible. They talked and laughed and dreamed together, sharing their hopes and fears and secrets in the quiet moments of the night. And through it all, they leaned on each other for strength and support, finding solace in the love and understanding that flowed between them like a never-ending stream. But even as they reveled in the joys of their new life together, Nicholas and Mia knew that the shadows of the past were never far behind, that the wounds of trauma and abuse were not so easily healed. There were moments when the memories would come flooding back, when the pain and the fear would threaten to overwhelm them once again. In those moments, they clung to each other like lifelines, anchoring themselves in the love and the trust that had brought them together. They talked and cried and held each other close, finding comfort in the warmth of each other's arms and the steady beat of each other's hearts. And slowly but surely, they began to heal, to let go of the pain and the anger that had held them captive for so long. They learned to forgive themselves and each other, to embrace the scars of their pasts as a testament to their strength and their resilience. For Nicholas, the journey of fatherhood had become a sacred calling, a mission that he embraced with every fiber of his being. He knew that he would never be able to erase the memories of Mia and Lily's past, that he could not shield them from all the hurts and the heartaches that life would bring. But he also knew that he could love them fiercely and unconditionally, that he could give them a home and a family and a future filled with hope and possibility. And so he poured his heart and his soul into being the father they deserved, the protector and the provider, and the guiding light that would lead them through the storms of life. As the first snowflakes of winter began to fall, blanketing the city in a hush of white, Nicholas and Mia found themselves looking to the future with a new sense of clarity and purpose. They knew that the road ahead would be long and winding, that there would be obstacles and challenges and moments of doubt and fear. But they also knew that they had each other, that their love was a fortress that could weather any storm. And so, hand in hand, they stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead, secure in the knowledge that they were stronger together than they could ever be apart. For Mia, the journey of healing was far from over, the scars of her past still tender to the touch. But with each passing day, she found herself growing stronger and more confident, her heart filled with a love and a hope that she had never known before. And as she looked to the future, she knew that she was ready to face whatever lay ahead, to build a life of purpose and meaning, to use her own struggles and triumphs to make a difference in the world. For she had learned the most precious lesson of all, that even in the darkest of times there is always a light to guide the way, a love that can conquer all. And with Nicholas by her side, she knew that anything was possible, that their love was a beacon of hope in a world that so often seemed lost in shadow. As the winter snow melted into the tender green of spring, Nicholas and Mia found themselves standing on the cusp of a new beginning, a chapter in their lives that held the promise of endless possibility and boundless love. For Nicholas, the journey of the past year had been a revelation, a profound awakening to the depths of his own heart and the true meaning of family. He had started out as a man adrift, searching for purpose and connection in a world that often seemed cold and unforgiving. But in Mia and Lily, he had found something rare and precious, a love that had the power to heal even the deepest of wounds. They had taught him the true meaning of sacrifice and devotion, of the incredible strength that lies within the human spirit. And as he watched them grow and thrive under his care, he knew that he had finally found his calling, his reason for being. He was a father, a protector, a guardian of the most precious treasures in all the world. For Mia, the transformation had been no less profound. She had started out as a child lost in the shadows, her heart burdened by the weight of a past that threatened to consume her whole. But with Nicholas's love and support, she had found the courage to step into the light, to embrace the beauty and the wonder of the world around her. She had discovered a passion for art and music, for the power of creativity to heal and inspire. And she had learned to trust in the goodness of others, to open her heart to the love and the kindness that surround us all. As they stood together on the balcony of their penthouse looking out over the city that had brought them together, Nicholas and Mia knew that their journey was far from over. There would be challenges and obstacles ahead, moments of doubt and fear and uncertainty. But they also knew that they had each other, that their love was a bond that could never be broken. And so, hand in hand, they stepped forward into the future, ready to face whatever lay ahead, secure in the knowledge that they were part of something greater than themselves. For they were a family, a tapestry woven of love and loss and hope and healing. They were the living proof of the incredible resilience of the human spirit, of the power of compassion to change even the darkest of lives. In the years that followed, Nicholas and Mia worked tirelessly to build a life of purpose and meaning, to use their own struggles and triumphs to make a difference in the world. They started a foundation dedicated to helping children in need, providing shelter and support, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. And they watched in awe as Lily grew into a young woman of incredible grace and strength, her heart filled with the same fierce love and determination that had brought her sister and Nicholas together all those years ago. There were moments of joy and laughter, of tears and sorrow and heartache. But through it all, they held fast to the love that bound them together, to the unshakable faith that had carried them through the darkest of times. And as they looked back on the journey that had brought them to this moment, Nicholas and Mia knew that they had been blessed beyond measure, that they had found a love that would endure for all eternity. For they had each other, and they had their family. And in the end, that was all that mattered, all that would ever truly matter. As the sun set over the city that had given them so much, Nicholas and Mia held each other close, their hearts beating as one, their love a promise of forever. And they knew that whatever the future might bring, they would face it together, hand in hand, heart to heart, for they were home, in the truest sense of the word. They had found their place in the world, their reason for being, and they knew that as long as they had each other, as long as they held fast to the love that had brought them together, there was nothing they could not overcome, no dream that was beyond their reach. And so, as the stars began to glimmer in the velvet sky above, Nicholas and Mia turned towards the future, their hearts filled with gratitude and hope and the unshakable conviction that their love would light the way, now and forever.
A desperate mother leaves her baby at the hospital. When the nurse discovers the truth about the baby, she can't stop crying. The hospital clock read 3:45 a.m. when Nurse Anna noticed a hesitant woman standing at the entrance. She was visibly pale, holding a baby tightly in her arms. Her eyes held a mixture of fear and sorrow, an expression Anna had seen many times before. It usually foreshadowed something heartbreaking. "Can I help you?" Anna asked softly, trying not to startle her. The woman hesitated, glancing around as though searching for an escape. Finally, she stepped forward, clutching the baby even closer. I need someone to take care of him," the woman said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He can't stay with me." Anna frowned. The woman didn't seem homeless, but her eyes told a story of profound suffering. "It's okay. We're here to help," Anna reassured her. "What's your name?" The woman squeezed her eyes shut, as though trying to hold back tears. With a trembling sigh, she handed Anna an envelope. "This explains everything. Please, don't try to find me." With those words, she placed the sleeping baby in Anna's arms and walked out quickly before Anna could respond. The baby, a healthy boy about 3 months old, was taken to the nursery. Meanwhile, Anna and the hospital administrator opened the envelope, revealing a handwritten letter. "My name is Julia. My son, Gabriel, cannot stay with me. I don't have much time left, and I don't want him to suffer from my absence. Please find him a family that will love him as much as I do." The letter continued with medical details, confirming that Julia was in the terminal stages of an aggressive cancer. She wrote about her battle with the disease but made it clear that her only concern now was ensuring Gabriel's future, giving him the chance to grow up loved and cared for. Anna felt tears streaming down her face as she read. Over the years, she had witnessed countless tragedies, but something about this mother's sacrifice, leaving behind her heart at the hospital, hit her harder than she expected. Before Anna could fully process the letter, the nursery alarm went off. She rushed to find baby Gabriel crying uncontrollably. She picked him up, gently cradling him in her arms. "It's okay, little one. You're safe now. We'll take care of you. Promise." But deep down, Anna knew that Gabriel's fate had now become a race against time, just like it had been for his mother. The sun rose over the city, casting a warm glow through the hospital windows. Nurse Anna stood by the nursery, watching Gabriel sleep peacefully. His tiny chest rose and fell with each breath, unaware of the storm surrounding him. Anna couldn't shake the weight of Julia's letter. The words haunted her as she thought about the woman who had walked away, leaving everything behind for the sake of her child. Later that morning, Anna met with Dr. Collins, the hospital's chief pediatrician. Together, they reviewed Gabriel's situation. "He's healthy," Dr. Collins said, flipping through the baby's medical chart, "but we'll need to alert social services immediately. He'll have to be placed in temporary care until a suitable family can be found." Anna nodded, though her heart clenched at the thought. "And what about the mother? Shouldn't we at least try to find her? She may need help herself." Dr. Collins sighed. "We could notify the authorities, but according to her letter, she doesn't want to be found. Legally, we have to respect that unless the child is in immediate danger." Anna remained silent, her mind racing. She had seen many children pass through the system, some finding loving homes, others lost in bureaucratic limbo. Gabriel deserved more than a cold system. He deserved the love his mother had wished for him. That afternoon, Anna sat alone in the break room, the crumpled letter in her hands. She reread Julia's final words, feeling the pain etched into every line. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. "Anna," said Sarah, one of the younger nurses, "there's a man in the lobby asking about a baby. He says he knows the mother." Anna's heart skipped. "Did he give a name?" "No, but he looks worried. Should I call security?" Anna stood quickly. "No, I'll handle it." In the lobby, Anna spotted a man pacing nervously by the reception desk. He was in his early 30s, with unkempt hair and dark circles under his eyes. As soon as he saw her, he stepped forward. "Are you the nurse who took in Julia's baby?" His voice was urgent, his hands trembling. Anna eyed him cautiously. "Who are you?" "I'm Daniel, Julia's friend." He hesitated before continuing. "I've been looking for her. She left a message, saying she was coming here. I had no idea she was sick." Anna softened slightly but kept her guard up. "She left the baby in our care early this morning. Do you know where she is now?" Daniel shook his head, his expression crumbling. "No, she didn't tell me where she was going. She only said she couldn't take care of Gabriel anymore." His voice cracked on the baby's name. "I need to help her." Anna studied him, weighing his sincerity. "Julia didn't want to be found, Daniel. She made that clear. But if you truly want to help, tell me everything you know. Gabriel's future depends on it." Daniel swallowed hard. His eyes filled with a mix of desperation and determination. "I'll tell you everything." Anna led Daniel into a small consultation room. His hands fidgeted as he sat down, glancing at the walls covered with motivational posters and hospital protocols. Anna remained standing, her arms crossed. "Start from the beginning," she said, her tone gentle but firm. Daniel took a deep breath, his voice low. "Julia and I met a few years ago. We worked at the same restaurant. She was a vibrant, full of life. Then, about a year ago, everything changed. She started getting sick. At first, it was just fatigue. Then pain she couldn't ignore." He paused, his hands clenching into fists. "When she finally saw a doctor, they told her it was late-stage cancer. She didn't want to burden anyone. She left her job, her friends, everything, to focus on Gabriel." Anna nodded, her expression softening. She loved him deeply. That much is clear. Daniel's eyes glistened. He was her world. But when she found out she had only months left, she didn't want Gabriel to watch her fade away. She thought this would be better, that he'd have a chance at a better life. Anna exhaled slowly, her heart heavy. "Do you know if Julia has any family? Someone we could reach out to?" Daniel shook his head. "She was on her own. Her parents passed years ago, and she didn't have siblings. Anna thought for a moment. And you? Are you prepared to step in for Gabriel? To provide him with the care and stability he needs? Daniel looked down, his face clouded with guilt. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I barely make ends meet myself. But if it means honoring Julia's wishes, I'll do whatever it takes. Anna watched him carefully. His sincerity was undeniable, but she knew this wasn't a decision to be made lightly. Listen, she said, her voice steady. There's a process for cases like this. If you're serious, you'll need to work with social services. They'll evaluate your situation to see if you're a suitable guardian. In the meantime, Gabriel will stay here, where we can ensure he's safe and cared for. Daniel nodded, though his expression remained strained. I just want what's best for him, and for Julia to know that I tried. Anna reached out, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Then let's take it one step at a time. Later that evening, as the hospital quieted, Anna found herself back in the nursery. Gabriel was awake, his wide, curious eyes fixed on the ceiling. She picked him up, cradling him gently. You don't even know how much you're loved, do you? She whispered, brushing a hand over his soft hair. Your mother gave everything for you. As she rocked him, a sense of resolve settled over her. This wasn't just another case. She would do everything in her power to honor Julia's sacrifice and ensure Gabriel had the future his mother dreamed of. The next day, Daniel returned with social services for an initial interview. Anna observed from a distance, noting the nervous energy in his posture. It was clear he was committed, but the journey ahead would be anything but easy. After the meeting, Daniel approached Anna again. They're starting the process, he said, his voice a mix of hope and fear. They said it could take weeks, maybe months. Anna nodded. It's a thorough process, but it's meant to protect Gabriel. In the meantime, you can visit him here. Daniel's face softened with relief. Thank you for everything. Before he left, Anna handed him a copy of Julia's letter. I thought you might want to keep this. Daniel stared at the paper, his hands trembling as he unfolded it. As he read, silent tears streamed down his face. When he finally looked up, his eyes were filled with a fierce determination. She was stronger than anyone I've ever known, he said. I won't let her down. Anna watched him leave, her own heart heavy with the weight of Julia's legacy. The road ahead would the days turned into weeks. Gabriel remained in the hospital's care, his every need met by the attentive staff. Despite his uncertain future, he thrived under their watch. His laugh, a bright, infectious sound, echoed through the nursery, lifting the spirits of everyone around him. Daniel visited every chance he got. At first, his visits were awkward. He wasn't used to holding a baby, and his clumsy attempts often left Gabriel fussing. But with time, he grew more confident. Anna would catch glimpses of them through the nursery window. Daniel cradling Gabriel, softly singing or simply gazing at him with a protective tenderness. One afternoon, during one of Daniel's visits, Anna approached him with a clipboard. I thought you might like to know how Gabriel's doing medically, she said, handing him a detailed report. Daniel took it, scanning the pages. His eyes widened. He's healthy. Perfect, even. Anna smiled. He's a strong little guy. Julia must have done a great job taking care of him. Daniel nodded, a shadow crossing his face. She did. Even when she was in pain, Gabriel was her priority. Anna hesitated, then spoke carefully. How are you holding up? With social services, Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's been tough. They're thorough, asking about my finances, my living situation, everything. I'm trying to meet their requirements, but it feels like climbing a mountain. Anna's expression softened. You're doing everything you can, and that counts for a lot. Just keep going. Daniel nodded, his jaw set with determination. I won't give up. Gabriel deserves a family that loves him. And if I can be that family, I will. One night, as Anna was finishing her shift, she noticed a familiar figure lingering near the hospital's entrance. It was Julia. Anna's breath caught. Julia was thinner than before, her skin almost translucent under the harsh streetlights. She wore a scarf tightly around her head, a clear sign of the treatment she had endured. Her eyes, though sunken, still held that same fierce love. Anna rushed outside. Julia? Julia flinched but didn't run. Instead, she offered a weak smile. I couldn't stay away, she whispered. I had to see him. Tears welled up in Anna's eyes. You should have come sooner. Gabriel is safe, but he misses you. Julia looked away, guilt etched into her face. I know I can't stay. I just wanted to see him, even if it's from a distance. Anna hesitated before gently touching Julia's arm. Come inside, just for a little while. In the quiet nursery, under the soft glow of the overhead lights, Julia stood by Gabriel's crib. Her eyes filled with tears as she watched him sleep, his tiny fist curled around a blanket. He's beautiful, she whispered, her voice trembling. So full of life. Anna stood nearby, giving her space. He's a fighter just like his mother. Julia smiled faintly, though her tears continued to fall. I've made peace with what's coming, Anna. But knowing he's loved, that's all I needed. Anna felt her throat tighten. You've done more for him than most could, Julia. And Daniel, he's fighting for Gabriel too. Julia's eyes flickered with recognition. Daniel? He's been here every day, Anna said softly. He's determined to give Gabriel the life you wanted for him. Julia nodded, a bittersweet smile on her lips. That's all I could hope for. As the moments passed, Julia leaned down, gently kissing Gabriel's forehead. I love you, my sweet boy, she whispered. Always. She straightened, wiping her tears. I should go. Anna placed a hand on Julia's shoulder. You're welcome here anytime. Julia hesitated, then nodded. Thank you, Anna, for everything. She walked away, leaving Anna standing by the crib, her heart heavy with the weight of their shared secret. The following morning, Anna couldn't shake the memory of Julia's late-night visit. She felt torn between her promise to Julia and her duty to protect Gabriel's future. As she prepared for her shift, her mind raced with questions. Should she tell Daniel? Would Julia come back? And, most pressing of all, how much time did Julia have left? When Anna arrived at the hospital, Daniel was already there, seated in the nursery with Gabriel in his arms. He looked up as Anna entered, his face lighting up briefly before settling into a more serious expression. I wanted to thank you, he said, for everything you've done. I don't know how I'd manage without your support. Anna smiled, though her thoughts lingered on Julia. You're doing great, Daniel. Gabriel is lucky to have you. Daniel looked down at the baby, who was now babbling softly. I hope I'm enough for him. Before Anna could respond, Dr. Collins walked in, carrying a folder. Daniel, he greeted, then turned to Anna. There's something we need to discuss. Can we step outside? Anna's stomach tightened as she followed Dr. Collins into the hallway. We've received a report from social services, he began. They've reviewed Daniel's case, and while he's made progress, they're concerned about his financial stability and lack of family support. They're leaning toward placing Gabriel in foster care. Anna's heart sank. Foster care? But Daniel is doing everything he can. Dr. Collins sighed. I know, but their system prioritizes stability. Unless something changes drastically, Daniel might lose his chance. Anna felt a surge of frustration. There has to be another way. Dr. Collins gave her a sympathetic look. If you can find one, let me know. But for now, this is where things stand. Later that day, Anna found Daniel in the hospital's courtyard, staring blankly at the fountain. She approached cautiously. Daniel, she began, sitting beside him. I need to be honest with you. Social services is still concerned about your situation. Daniel's face fell. What does that mean? Are they taking him away? Anna placed a hand on his shoulder. Not yet, but they're considering foster care as an option. Daniel shook his head, his eyes filling with desperation. No, I can't let that happen. Gabriel deserves to be with someone who loves him. I know, Anna said softly, and I believe in you, but we need to find a way to prove to them that you can provide that stability. Daniel buried his face in his hands. I've already sold everything I could to afford a better place. I'm working double shifts. What more can I do? Anna hesitated, her mind flashing back to Julia's visit. She knew she was about to take a risk. There's something you need to know. Daniel lifted his head, his eyes searching hers. Julia came to see Gabriel last night, Anna admitted. Daniel's breath caught. She was here? Anna nodded. She didn't stay long. She's in worse shape than I expected. But she needed to see him. And she mentioned you. Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. What did she say? She's grateful for everything you're doing, Anna said gently. She believes in you, Daniel. But she's running out of time. Daniel's hands clenched into fists. I have to find her. She shouldn't be alone. Anna hesitated. Do you think she'd let you help her? I don't know, Daniel admitted. But I have to try. Anna nodded. Then let's do it together. We owe it to both Julia and Gabriel to make sure they're cared for. Daniel looked at her, a glimmer of hope returning to his eyes. Thank you, Anna. I don't know where to start, but I won't stop until I find her. As they stood, Anna felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they would fight for Gabriel's future, and for Julia's final moments to be filled with the love she had so selflessly given. The search for Julia began immediately. Anna and Daniel scoured the city, visiting shelters, clinics, and any place where she might seek refuge. Days passed with no sign of her, and the weight of uncertainty grew heavier. One evening, as Anna prepared to leave the hospital, she noticed a folded note slipped under the door of the nurse's station. Her name was written on it in shaky handwriting. She opened it quickly, her heart racing. Anna, thank you for everything. I'm safe, but I can't stay in one place for long. Please take care of Gabriel. I know you will do what's best for him. I trust you, Julia. Anna's hands trembled as she read the note. Julia was alive, but still determined to stay hidden. She folded the note carefully and slipped it into her pocket. The next morning, Anna showed the note to Daniel. She's reaching out, Anna said. That means she's still nearby. Daniel studied the note, his jaw tightening. We have to find her, Anna. She needs to see that she's not alone, that she doesn't have to carry this burden by herself. Anna nodded. I agree, but we also need to think about Gabriel. Social services won't wait forever. Daniel's eyes darkened with determination. Then we'll give them what they want. Stability, proof that Gabriel will be safe with me. And that includes Julia, if she'll let me help her. Anna hesitated, then made a decision. There's one place we haven't checked yet. A clinic downtown that specializes in palliative care. If Julia's looking for medical support, she might go there. Daniel didn't wait. Let's go. The clinic was small, tucked away on a quiet street. The receptionist looked up as they entered, her smile polite but wary. Can I help you? She asked. Anna stepped forward. We're looking for someone, Julia. She might be a patient here. The receptionist frowned. I'm sorry, but I can't give out patient information. Please, Daniel interjected, his voice urgent. She's the mother of my son. She's very sick, and we just want to help her. The woman hesitated, then seemed to soften. Wait here. After a few tense minutes, a doctor appeared, his expression cautious. You're looking for Julia? He asked. Yes, Anna said. We know she's unwell. We just want to make sure she's okay. The doctor sighed. She's here, but she's in fragile condition. She's asked not to have visitors. Daniel stepped forward. Please, doctor. She's carrying this all alone. If she knows we're here for her, it might make a difference. The doctor studied them both for a long moment, then nodded. Follow me. In a quiet room at the end of the hall, Julia lay in a hospital bed. Her skin was pale, her breathing shallow. When she saw Daniel and Anna enter, her eyes widened in surprise. Julia, Daniel whispered, his voice breaking. We've been looking for you. Tears filled Julia's eyes. You shouldn't have come. Daniel knelt beside her bed, taking her hand. You don't have to do this alone. Let me help you. Julia shook her head weakly. It's too late for me, Daniel. But not for Gabriel. That's why we're here, Anna said gently. We want to honor your wishes. But Gabriel deserves to know how much you love him. And you deserve to see him grow, even if just for a little while. Julia closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. I'm so tired. Daniel squeezed her hand. Then let us carry some of the weight. Please, Julia. After a long silence, Julia nodded. Okay, she whispered. But promise me, you'll take care of him. Daniel's voice was firm. I promise. Anna's heart swelled with relief. They had found Julia, and now, together, they could fight for Gabriel's future. Julia's agreement to let Daniel and Anna support her brought a fragile sense of hope. Over the next few days, they worked together to ensure Gabriel's future was secure. Daniel's determination was unyielding as he met every requirement social services demanded, while Anna continued to provide updates on Gabriel's health and progress. At the same time, Julia's condition worsened. She grew weaker, her energy fading with each passing day. Despite her physical decline, her spirit remained focused on one thing: ensuring that Gabriel knew he was loved. One afternoon, as the sunlight filtered softly through the clinic windows, Julia asked to see Anna alone. Close the door, Julia whispered, her voice barely audible. Anna complied, sitting gently by her bedside. What's on your mind, Julia? Julia hesitated, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and resolve. I need you to promise me something. Anna leaned in, her expression serious. Anything. Julia took a deep breath. If Daniel can't do it, if social services decide he's not fit to raise Gabriel, I want you to step in. Anna's eyes widened. Julia, I trust you, Julia interrupted, her gaze unwavering. You've been there for him since the beginning. You understand what he needs, and I know you'll give him a life filled with love and care. Anna felt a lump rise in her throat. Julia, I'll do everything in my power to make sure Gabriel ends up where he belongs. But I believe in Daniel. He's ready to fight for Gabriel just like you. Julia smiled faintly. I believe in him too. But life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges. I just need to know you'll be there, no matter what. Anna nodded, her voice steady despite the tears threatening to fall. I promise. Julia's hand, frail and cold, squeezed Anna's. Thank you. That gives me peace. As the weeks passed, Daniel's persistence began to pay off. Social services noted his improvements. A new, stable apartment, financial support from a community aid program, and a strong emotional bond with Gabriel. They scheduled a final review to determine if Daniel could officially take custody. On the day of the review, Daniel stood nervously in the hospital hallway, pacing as he waited for the social worker's arrival. Anna joined him, holding Gabriel, who babbled happily in her arms. You've got this, Anna reassured him. You've done everything they asked for and more. Daniel gave her a tense smile. I hope it's enough. The social worker, Ms. Reynolds, arrived shortly after, clipboard in hand. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Daniels, she said, extending a hand. Shall we begin? Daniel led her into a private room where they discussed his progress, his plans for Gabriel, and his commitment to being a stable parent. Ms. Reynolds listened intently, occasionally jotting down notes. After nearly an hour of questions and evaluations, Ms. Reynolds finally closed her folder. Mr. Daniels, she said, her tone measured, based on the evidence and your dedication, I'm recommending that you be granted custody of Gabriel. Daniel's breath caught. You mean? She nodded. Pending final approval from the court, Gabriel will officially be in your care. Anna, standing nearby, couldn't contain her smile. Congratulations, Daniel. Daniel's eyes filled with tears as he turned to Gabriel, who reached out his tiny hands toward him. He took the baby gently, holding him close. We did it, buddy, he whispered, his voice breaking. We did it. That evening, Anna visited Julia in the clinic to share the news. Julia, though visibly weaker, managed a small, radiant smile. That's wonderful, she said, her voice barely audible. Daniel will be a great father. He will, Anna agreed, taking Julia's hand. And Gabriel will always know how much you loved him. Julia's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Anna. For everything, Anna stayed with Julia long into the night, sharing stories about Gabriel's milestones and Daniel's devotion. Despite the sorrow hanging over them, there was a quiet sense of fulfillment. Julia's greatest wish was coming true. The weeks following the custody decision were a whirlwind of change for Daniel and Gabriel. Daniel officially moved into his new apartment, a modest but warm space filled with sunlight and small touches of love. A soft blue crib, shelves stocked with baby essentials, and photos of Gabriel smiling. Anna continued to visit, offering guidance and support as Daniel adjusted to his new role. Despite the challenges of single parenthood, Daniel embraced every moment. His bond with Gabriel grew stronger, and the baby thrived in his care. But as Gabriel's future brightened, Julia's condition deteriorated. Her time was slipping away, and Anna knew the day would soon come when Julia would say her final goodbye. One evening, Anna sat beside Julia in her dimly lit room. The rhythmic hum of medical equipment filled the air, a stark contrast to the quiet, intimate conversation they shared. "How is he?" Julia asked weakly, her voice a shadow of its former strength. Anna smiled softly. "He's perfect, Julia. He's growing stronger every day, and Daniel. He's becoming the father you always dreamed he'd be." Julia closed her eyes, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "That's all I ever wanted." They sat in silence for a moment before Julia opened her eyes again, her expression serious. "Anna," she whispered, "I want to write a letter for Gabriel. Something he can read when he's older." Anna's throat tightened, but she nodded. "Of course. I'll help you." Over the next few days, with Anna's assistance, Julia carefully crafted her letter. Each word was chosen with love, every sentence imbued with the wisdom and affection she wished to pass on to her son. "My dearest Gabriel, from the moment I held you, I knew you were my greatest gift. You brought light into my life, even in the darkest moments. I want you to know how much I love you and how proud I am of the person you will become. Life may not always be easy, but remember that you are strong. You are surrounded by people who love you, Daniel, Anna, and many others who will guide you as you grow. Never doubt that you were, and always will be, my greatest joy. Though I won't be there to see you grow, my love will always be with you. Look to the stars, Gabriel, and know that I'm watching over you, cheering for you with every step you take. Be kind, be brave, and above all, be true to yourself. With all my love, Mom." When Julia finished, her hands trembled as she folded the letter and placed it in an envelope. She handed it to Anna, her eyes filled with unspoken gratitude. "Make sure he gets this," Julia said, her voice barely audible. Anna placed a hand over Julia's. "I promise." The next morning, Julia's condition took a sharp turn. Daniel rushed to the clinic with Gabriel in his arms, his face pale and stricken. Anna met him in the hallway, her expression calm but somber. "She's asking for you," Anna said softly. Daniel nodded and followed her into Julia's room. As they entered, Julia's eyes lit up, her gaze locking onto Gabriel. Daniel carefully placed the baby in her arms, his tiny fingers curling around hers. "Hi, my sweet boy," Julia whispered, her voice filled with love. Tears streamed down her face as she kissed Gabriel's forehead. "I love you so much." Daniel stood by her side, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "He's gonna be okay, Julia. I'll make sure of it." Julia nodded, her eyes never leaving Gabriel. "I know," she said softly, "and so will you." She held Gabriel close, her breathing slowing. After a few moments, she looked up at Daniel and Anna, a peaceful smile on her lips. "Thank you," she whispered. With those final words, Julia closed her eyes, her hand still resting protectively over Gabriel. She was gone. In the quiet that followed, Anna and Daniel stood in silent reverence. Gabriel cooed softly in his mother's arms, oblivious to the profound loss surrounding him. Daniel gently lifted Gabriel, holding him close as Anna carefully arranged Julia's hands over her chest. "She was extraordinary," Daniel said, his voice breaking. Anna nodded, her own tears falling freely. "She was, and she gave him everything she had." As they left the room, Gabriel nestled against Daniel's chest, the letter Julia had written tucked securely in Anna's pocket, a lasting testament to a mother's boundless love. The days following Julia's passing were heavy with grief, but also a quiet sense of closure. Her funeral was a small, intimate affair. Daniel, Anna, and a few close staff from the hospital gathered to say their final goodbyes. Daniel held Gabriel tightly throughout the service, his silent tears falling as the priest spoke of Julia's courage and love. Gabriel, too young to understand, rested peacefully in his father's arms, a calm presence amid the sorrow. After the service, Daniel lingered by Julia's grave, his voice low but resolute. "I'll make sure Gabriel knows who you were," he promised. "He'll grow up hearing your story, feeling your love every day." Anna stood beside him, offering silent support. In her pocket, the letter Julia had written remained safely tucked away, waiting for the right moment when Gabriel would be old enough to understand. Life slowly began to take on a new rhythm. Daniel devoted himself to raising Gabriel, navigating the challenges of single parenthood with unwavering dedication. Anna remained a constant presence, offering guidance and companionship as they both adjusted to life without Julia. Gabriel's laughter filled Daniel's small apartment, a sound that seemed to light up even the darkest days. Every milestone, his first steps, his first words, was celebrated with joy, each one a reminder of the bright future Julia had fought so hard to secure. But the memory of Julia was never far. Her framed photo sat prominently on a shelf, and every night, Daniel would tell Gabriel stories about her. How brave she was, how deeply she had loved him. One evening, as the sky turned a soft orange with the setting sun, Daniel found himself sitting on the couch with Gabriel, now a curious toddler. The boy was flipping through a picture book, pointing at the images and babbling excitedly. Daniel smiled, but his mind drifted to the envelope Anna had given him earlier that week. It was time. "Gabriel," Daniel said softly, pulling the letter from a drawer. The boy looked up, his wide eyes full of trust. "This is something very special," Daniel continued, unfolding the letter. "It's from your mom." Though Gabriel was too young to grasp the significance, Daniel read Julia's words aloud, his voice steady but full of emotion. As he spoke, the weight of Julia's love and sacrifice filled the room. When he finished, Daniel placed the letter in Gabriel's hands. "One day, you'll understand just how much your mom loved you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "She's a part of you, always." Gabriel giggled, clutching the letter tightly as though he could already feel its importance. Later that night, after Gabriel had fallen asleep, Daniel sat alone, staring out the window. The city lights twinkled in the distance, but his thoughts were on Julia. "You gave him everything, Julia," he whispered. "I'll make sure he never forgets." Anna's words from weeks ago echoed in his mind. "You're not alone in this." And for the first time, Daniel truly felt it. Gabriel wasn't just his son. He was a bridge to a love that transcended even the deepest loss. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but Daniel was ready. For Gabriel, for Julia. Years passed, and Gabriel grew into a bright and inquisitive child. His laughter echoed through the halls of Daniel's home, filling it with life and warmth. His days were filled with curiosity. Endless questions about the world, adventures in the park, and bedtime stories that always included his mother. By the time Gabriel was 7, he had learned about Julia in the way children grasp big ideas, with a mix of wonder and seriousness. Daniel kept her memory alive, sharing stories of her strength and love. The letter Julia had written became a treasured keepsake, one Gabriel would sometimes ask Daniel to read aloud, its words a source of comfort and connection. One evening, as Gabriel sat cross-legged on his bed, he turned to Daniel with a thoughtful expression. "Dad," he began, his voice soft, "do you think Mom can see us from the stars?" Daniel smiled, sitting beside him. "I do," he said gently. "I think she watches over us every day, and she's so proud of you." Gabriel nodded, his eyes shining. "I hope she knows I love her too." Daniel wrapped an arm around his son. "She knows, buddy. She always knew." Life continued to move forward, but certain milestones carried extra weight. On Gabriel's 10th birthday, Anna came to visit. She arrived with a cake in hand and a box of photographs she had carefully preserved from Gabriel's early days in the hospital. "Thought you might want to see these," Anna said, smiling as she handed the box to Gabriel. Gabriel's eyes lit up as he sifted through the photos. There were pictures of him as a baby, wrapped in tiny blankets, being cradled by Anna, Daniel, and even Julia. He stopped at one particular photo of Julia holding him in the nursery, her eyes filled with love despite the evident fragility in her face. "She was beautiful," Gabriel said softly, tracing his mother's face with his finger. "She was," Anna agreed, her voice full of warmth. "And she loved you more than anything." That evening, after Gabriel had gone to bed, Daniel and Anna sat in the quiet living room. The years had deepened their friendship, forged through shared loss and the unwavering commitment to Gabriel's well-being. "You've done an incredible job, Daniel," Anna said. "Gabriel is everything Julia hoped he would be." Daniel nodded, his gaze distant. "It hasn't always been easy, but he's worth every moment." Anna leaned forward, her tone thoughtful. "Have you ever thought about sharing more of Julia's story with Gabriel as he gets older? Letting him truly understand the depth of her sacrifice?" Daniel sighed. "I've thought about it a lot. I want him to know, but I also want to protect him. There's a balance." Anna nodded. "When the time is right, you'll know. And when he's ready, that knowledge will only make him stronger." On a quiet summer night, Daniel stood on the balcony, gazing up at the stars. Gabriel joined him, holding the letter Julia had written, now slightly worn from years of careful handling. "Do you think she can hear us if we talk to her?" Gabriel asked. Daniel smiled. "I do. Why don't you try?" Gabriel closed his eyes, clutching the letter to his chest. "Hi, Mom. I hope you're okay up there. I love you, and I'm doing my best to make you proud." Daniel felt his throat tighten, watching his son's quiet strength. In that moment, he realized Julia's love had never left them. It lived on in Gabriel, in every word, every smile, every moment they shared. As the stars sparkled above, Daniel placed a hand on Gabriel's shoulder. Together, they stood in the quiet night, connected by a love that transcended time, carrying Julia's legacy forward. The end.